Guía número 2, Comunidad Andina.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Eilson Emilio Londoño Franco, estudiante del programa de negocios internacionales de la Universidad EAN. Actualmente me encuentro haciendo mis prácticas profesionales y me encuentro en el 8º semestre.
Natalie López, estudio negocios internacionales y estoy en 8º semestre.
Mi nombre es Santiago Mejía, estudiante de último semestre de negocios internacionales.
Mi nombre es Joana Velandia, me encuentro cursando 8º semestre de negocios internacionales, modalidad virtual.
Since the independence and creation of the nation states in the 19th century, Latin America has gone through different integration, from the Bolivarian project through model of open regionalism to post-neoliberalism trends planned by leftist government. The Latin America Bolivarian integration was in 1822 and be countered by the post-American Anglo-American integration in 1823. Today, the Organization of the American States then created the LAFTA, today called the Latin America Integration Association, ALADI. In 1960, strategies to substitute import of industrial products were tested. In 1969, the Cartagena Agreement was signed as an attempt to increase the country's negotiation capacity, and in 1996, the Andean Community was war.
Among the most important dates for the Andean community with respect to its negotiations and history, we find that in 1969, the Cartagena Agreement is done. In 1970, a start of operation of the Indian Development Corporation, or CAF. In 1971, the cancellation of double taxation among member countries. In 1973, the accession of Venezuela to the Cartagena Agreement. 3 years later, in 1976, the retirement of Chile. The 1978, the creation of the Indian Reserve Fund. In 1979, creation of the Indian Court of Justice, the Indian Parliament, and the Indian Council of Ministers of the Foreign Affairs. In 1989, the President approved the strategic design for the guidance of the Indian Group, which globalized the sub-regional process. In 1990, the first meeting of the Indian Presidential Council is created and held, which established the coordination system of the Indian international institutions. This date, 1993, is very important for the CNN because it's the creation of the Free Trade Zone. In 1996, the institutional strengthening of Indian integration with the reforms introduced in the Cartagena Agreement. Now, the Cartagena Agreement takes the name of the Indian Community, or CNN. In 2006, a retreat of Venezuela and association of Chile. In 2013, the re-engineering process began. Decision 792 in series of the construction of a new CN or CAN. In 2014, the priority areas of action of the CAN and the new organic functional structure of the General Secretary are defined as a part of the result of the re-engineering. And finally, in 2017, the regulatory framework for electricity markets in the CIN is approved.
And now we are going to see commercial relations intra-contract. As time has passed, Colombia has not worked as it should. Its commercial terms because imports and exports have been failing, but it should be noted that a surplus in the trade balance has always been maintained, more exports and less imports. But by eliminating the products that Colombia exports the most to the world, such as oil, coal, ferronickel, energy minerals, we have a better analysis because this alters the aggregate statistics. We realize that we have always had superavit, that is our trade balance. It is positive since we export more than we import, and in recent years exports have increased gradually. You can see in the graph that Colombia within the Andean community has not had a strong export of energy mining products. On the contrary, in recent years, this type of products have become essential for a country like Colombia to export products not energy mining, and is a trend that is expected to continue during the following years. In terms of product diversification, in recent years, Colombia has increased the class of products it exports because of the trend that is currently lagging, which is to create added value for products to be more welcome in the group and internationally. The non-mining energy products that are presented in the graph, it is thanks to the micro and medium companies that have entered to compete in the country. This has made the competition and all industries begin to diversify, as a result of which these products are currently they are above the energy miners. In the last few years, Colombia has focused on two industries: the basic industry that is engaged in the first stage of natural resource processing, which incorporates minimal levels of added value in the export of products. They are more oriented to the final consumer than to intermediate consumption by other companies. The companies focus on producing smaller objects and therefore with a high added value per unit. As mentioned above, Colombia composed its exports in a positive way because year after year it has been increasing gradually. But the data to highlight is that the non-mining energy continues to tap, and this is due to the momentum that the country has had in terms of small and medium companies and their ability to continue innovating and adding value to their products. As can be seen in the image, the main products exported by Colombia are cane or beet sugar, dosed medicines and crude oil or mineral oils, among others. Speaking of imports, the country imports from the group mainly raw materials and intermediate goods that are all those material resources, goods and services that are used as intermediate products during the production process. They are purchased for resale or used as inputs or raw materials for the production and sale of other goods. Observing what the graph shows is that Colombia has known how to move its imports currently because more products are imported that are not produced in the country, meaning that the new products are being imported from the community and that they contribute to the Colombian economy. The other percentage that enters to the country, and that if the occur is also generating competition with local producers and is encouraging to strengthen the skills to offer a greater added value. The largest amount of imported products correspond to soybean oil, palm oil, cakes and soybean residues, copper wire, and among others. Exports to the world of the member countries of the Andean community reached $109,503 million, which represent an increase of 13.5% compared to exports made in the same period of 2017. Taking a look at the intra-community exports, we can see that the intra-community exports of Bolivia grew by 38.3%, of Ecuador by 22.4%, those of Colombia by 21 8.9% and those of Peru by 10.4%, with respect to similar period of the previous year. According to the macro data, at the moment, the country best positioned according to its trade balance is Peru with a superávit of 2.55, followed by Ecuador with a deficit minus 0.85, then Colombia minus 2.61, and finally Bolivia with minus 4.14%. The main product exported to the world by the Andean community during the period January-November 2018 were crude oils with $20,286 million, copper minerals with $11,940 million, other crude forms of gold for non-monetary use with $8,420 million, bituminous coal with $5,960 million, fresh Cavendish Valley bananas with $3,636 million, zinc minerals with $3,269 million, among others. Regarding the percentage participation of the Andean community countries in the total extra-community exports, Peru represented 40.1%, followed by Colombia with 35.1%, Ecuador with 17.4%, and Bolivia with 7.4%. Ecuador represents an increase of 13.7%, mainly due to the greater exportation of crude petroleum oils, fresh Cavendish Valley bananas, fuel oil, preparations and preserves of prawns, and other decapods natantia, the other prawns among other products. Peru increased exports by 10% extra community, mainly due to the increase in exports of copper ores, liquid field natural gas, unroasted molybdenum minerals, fresh or dried avocados, fuel oil, among other products. And Bolivia present an increase of 13.2%, mainly due to exports of natural gas, zinc, minerals, other crude forms of gold for non-monetary use. Brazil nuts without skins under natural ethyl alcohol.
The negotiated topic of the can within the free trade agreement that is agreed between the member countries Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. They are the access of merchandise, the trade of service, the transport, the telecommunication, the circulation of people, among others. Through this treaty is allowing the commercialization of these with important free benefits totally free of tariffs and certain requirements, which then allows a commercial and development cooperation easier and more affordable for the member countries. However, it should be noted that for any type of trade can benefit from the agreement agreed in the can must meet certain standards that demonstrate the origin of the good of service specifically from the member country that allows the circulation of these to other member countries must also meet certain conditions, requirements and regulations. That is why depending of the case is this necessary to study and analyze the different decisions that specifically regulate each negotiation so as not to incur faults or omit important norms to access the benefits of this treaty. On the screen, the decisions that are made in each specific case is necessary to review for their respective marketing. In rules of origin, for example, we will find for merchandise requisites such that these must be elaborated in their entirety with raw materials of the country or the other member country. That in case of products assembled by the member country, the raw materials of the other countries not member of the DOS not exceeded certain percentage when the transformation of raw materials from other countries takes place in a member country, that the provision of service is carried out by an individual of the member country for another member country, as well as the case of the products, good of service that is commercialized between these countries. It is necessary to analyze the decision that directly regulate that specific trade.
Okay, sensitive products for Colombia. Among the information found in the official page of the Asian Community of Nations of the FTA of the Colombian government, it was possible to reach the conclusion that the sensitive products for Colombia in the negotiation process are egg yolk oil, derivatives and metal tools like files and rasp, heavy duty tools like elevators and forklifts, derivatives of sound like sound amplifiers, electric audio amplifiers, recorders and sound sprayers, derivatives in toothbrush, including brush for dentures. On the other hand, among the winning products for Colombia in the negotiation, we can find that energy source, meat, manufactures, derivatives from energy source, vegetables, oils, and fats. While the products that were lost with the negotiation were imperial, machinery and equipment, other crops, automotive vehicles and transport equipment, vegetables and fruit. Among the countries that made profits, especially in agriculture, in the CNN negotiation, we can find that they were Peru, with processed rice, sugar, products related to agriculture, Venezuela, with fish and processed rice, Ecuador and Bolivia, with fish and sugar. The Indian Community, or CNN, complete its process of liberalization of inter-regional trade in goods starting in 2006, when the last group of products that remained with tariffs was the trade between Peru and other Asian countries. 15 years ago, since 1991, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela had completed free trade zone between these countries. The Cartagena Agreement, its initial version, provides for a total release of the universe of products no later than 1980. Revised modalities were established for goods that should lead in 10 years to the formation of a free trade zone between Bolivia, Colombia, Chile, Peru, and Venezuela. Because of their status as less developed economic relative countries, or PNDIR, Bolivia and Ecuador benefited from faster access to the market of the other partners and would take more time than the others to open their own markets. The restrictions of all kinds were eliminated since December 1970 between Colombia, Chile, and Peru. Venezuela were eliminated then by entering the process in 1973. Bolivia and Ecuador were eliminated restrictions of all kinds at the time of initiation.
And now we are going to talk about logistics. Colombia, compared to the countries of the group, is in first place with an average of 2.94 points, with its strongest point in international shipments, standing out by the great difference before its neighboring countries. But it doesn't mean that it's above others in all aspects. For example, Peru, which has a point average of 269, leads the whole group in timelines. Ecuador, having a drawing similar to that of Colombia, which has an average of 288 points, leads in how much customs the whole group. Finally, there is Bolivia with an average of 2.36 points, which is the highest strength in timelines, but still it is below the countries of the group. In terms of the distance each country has and how long each one takes, it can be seen that Bolivia is the one with the most difficulties, and this is directly related to not having a port in its own country, as it is well known that this doesn't have an outlet to the sea itself, as to the other ways of importing and exporting land or air. It is not so negative, but is still the longest in days of the four member countries. As far as the institutions are concerned, the four countries are very even, though a very marked difference is perceived in Bolivia. This country has a few less institutions that help export and import, something similar to Peru, but also realize that in how much two documents for exports and imports presents a considerable amount above the members' countries. For export, it has 9 documents, and for imports, it has 10. The other countries have all that information reduced in 3 or 4 documents for both export and import. Bolivia doesn't have maritime coast, but the import and export of merchandise is carried out in the Pacific Ocean through the port of Arica or port of Antofagasta in Chile and of Puerto de Hilo and Puerto Matarani in Peru. Through the Atlantic Ocean, the port of Buenos Aires is used in Argentina. Bolivia has more than 16 airports, of which 3 internationally recognized airports stand out, located in the city of La Paz, Cochabamba, and Santa Cruz. Bolivia. From Buenaventura to the ports of Bolivia, there are no direct service. The offer is complemented with 2 routes, offered by 2 shipping companies with transit times from 40 days. The connections are made in ports of Panama, Chile, and Peru. Currently, there are more than 5 airlines that provide cargo transportation services to Bolivia. The connections are mainly made in cities of the United States, Panama, and Peru. Peru. Peru has a port infrastructure composed of 14 ports located on the Pacific coast. 3 of these are river, highlighting the port of Iquitos as one of the most important in the country. The rest are maritime ports within which Callao is located, main port of Peru. Peru has an airport infrastructure composed of 211 airstrips located through its territory, of which 58 are paved and 153 are unpaved. There are several international airports located in the cities of Lima, Arequipa, Cusco, Trujillo, Puerto Maldonado, and Chiclayo that are designated for cargo handling, cold storage, value management, and nationalization. From Buenaventura to the ports of Peru, there are direct services offered by 14 shipping companies. The offer is complemented with 2 routes offered by 2 shipping companies with transit times from 13 days. The connections are made in ports of Panama and Ecuador. Currently, there are more than 9 airlines that provide cargo transportation services to Peru. The connections are mainly made in cities of the United States, Panama, Argentina, and Chile. Ecuador. The port system of Ecuador is composed of 5 state ports and 10 private docks specialized in general cargo and oil. The main port is Guayaquil, which handles 70% of the foreign trade of the national port system. Ecuador has an airport infrastructure composed of 428 airports located throughout its territory, of which 323 are unpaved and 105 have a paved runway. Of this airport, the Mariscal Sucre International Airport and the José Joaquín de Olmedo International Airport support most of the international merchandise traffic between Colombia and Ecuador. From Buenaventura to the ports of Ecuador, there are direct services offered by 14 shipping companies. The offer is complemented with one route offered by one shipping company with transit times from 9 days. The connections are made in ports of Panama. Currently, there are more than 10 airlines that provide cargo transportation services to Ecuador. The connections are made mainly in cities of the United States, Ecuador, and Panama.
The Cartagena Agreement Liberation Program established the elimination of all types of restriction among the member countries, which are committed to impose levies of restriction that affect trade, in addition to granting a treatment no less favorable than that applies to similar national products and tax, fees, and other international taxes. The Andean Regulation on Free Competition aims to eliminate any restriction that hinder access to market and ensure the free entry and permanence of competitor in the market to ensure the right of consumer to choose the product or service in the best possible condition in the sub-regional market. Andean regulation have regulation on anti-dumping and subsidies and compensatory rights. Regarding safeguard, there are regulations for inter-community trade and arranging for some agricultural products. 10,000 Amazones participate in Andean intra-community trade where they have supranational standards that provide them with facilities for trade in the region as well as opportunity for their insertion in international markets through their participation in joint commercial production events. Andean Committee of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise oriented to advise and support of matters related to the community policy and Amazones, as well as to promote associativity, internationalization, and enterprise which will improve their competitiveness. The General Secretariat supports the Andean Committee of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Authorities made up of the national authorities responsible for the subject in the matter related to the community policy on the promotion and strengthening of Andean enterprise. The Andean Product Input Matrix has been designed based on the information of the national account and input matrices of the countries of the Andean subregion. With this information, different types of analysis could be carried out, such as the sectoral value chain, external economic complementarity, trade flow information on what a country produces, the input that a sector requires from another sector to produce, employment involved. Among other data of interest, the Andean Community General Secretary encouraged countries to work together in order to facilitate productive complementarity, reducing costs, taking advantage of the inputs of their partner countries, creating joint value chain, and thus abstaining in a more efficient manner. Efficient quality finished product for the intra and extra regional market. Trade in service in the Andean community is practically liberalized except for the financial service sector and the minimum percentage of national production in national open television service.